Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod, Season 1, Episode 81. I am your host, Benjamin Kennedy, coming to you tonight from a wet and soggy Cumberland, Maine. Just some lovely wintertime weather out there. Absolutely gross. Good day to stay inside and talk about hockey, which is what I'm planning to do. So, hope everybody's having a good week out there. Get that Christmas shopping done, running out of shopping days. I still have a little bit of work to do on that front, hoping to get that cleaned up here soon. Going to talk all things Maine hockey tonight. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about, of course, the Maine Mariners and the weekend they just had and what's up next for them. And we'll take a dive into the Nordiques and, of course, the UMaine Men and Women's program. We're going to start right up there in Lewiston with the Maine Nordiques. It's been a little bit since I have checked in on them. Last game for them was on the 7th. They did lose 2-1 to the Philadelphia Rebels. Next couple games coming up for them on the 13th and 14th up in Elmira against the Aviators. 7 o'clock drops on both of those nights for them. Slipping a little bit in the standings for the boys. They're 14, 12, 2 and 1, 31 points. They had been in first place most of this year. They've now dropped to third in that East Division, losing six in a row. Two shutouts in that stretch as well. So hopefully they can figure it out and get back to it. They had such a good start to the season. You would expect some level of a lull at some point. So hopefully that's all this is, and they can get back to their winning ways this weekend. Heading on up to Orono, the UMaine Men, sitting right now fifth in the nation, holding steady at that number five spot and number one in Hockey East. 12 2-2 overall and 5 2-2 in Hockey East. Just a great season for this team. They're definitely looking like they're going to be a big time player come playoff time and the national tournament. Should be a lot of fun. Last game, maybe took Stonehill a little bit for granted, but they did beat Stonehill 4-2. They're on the eighth. I know there's a lot of chatter during that game on social media, and I don't know how happy Ben Barr was with the overall effort, but they get the win. Next game, not until the 29th. That is against Bentley. It's going to be right here in the Portland, Maine area at the Cross Insurance Arena, 4 p.m. puck drop for them. And of course, they're preparing for two what should be epic games against the University of Denver. That's coming up first of the year on the 3rd and the 4th, 6 p.m. there on the 3rd and 6:30 on the 4th. I believe both of those games are up in Orono. Denver right in front of this team, number 4 in the country. And of course, I believe the defending national champions. Of course, former Bruins coach Jim Montgomery, coach there at the University of Denver, won a championship there. Another excellent program. So if you're lucky enough to go to one of those two games, have fun, enjoy it. And the boys, getting a little bit of a break right now from time on ice. So yeah, great to see this. Great to see this program back. As soon as they hired Ben Barr, I think so many of us were excited to see that maybe they would have a chance to start building back to where they once were and bringing a lot of that tradition that we're used to. So let's hope they have a nice little break here and don't lose those legs. And so we'll see how that goes. Not going as well, unfortunately, for the UMaine women. Currently, they are 3-16 overall, 3-10 in Hockey East, tied for seventh, kind of right near the bottom of the division. Last game for them, tough one, a 4-3 overtime loss versus UConn. That was back on the 7th. And they do drop the puck against Merrimack on the 14th. So here just in a couple of days, 6 p.m. Up in Orono. So yeah, tough season. Hopefully it's a good building season. And, hopefully they can, they get some games left here. Can they battle back kind of to the middle of the pack there in Hockey East? Let's hope so. I do want to mention, and I haven't talked much about the PWHL this season, but of course they have kicked off their second season. They're 3 games in. As some of you know, it's a 6-team league to start. Currently, we do have our team, the Boston Fleet, playing there in Lowell. They're 1-2 with 3 points. I'm just really excited to see where this league goes and how it grows, how it develops here in year two. They had such a great year one, packing out arenas and just a lot of popularity. Going to neutral sites, they were packing out those arenas too. And right now, of course, a lot of conversation about this league expanding. I think they're going to just continue to kick ass, and I'm really happy to see it. For Boston, two of their players kind of leading the way. Hillary Knight, so far through 3 games, 2 goals and 1 assist. And Megan Keller, also 2 goals and 1 assist. If you're looking to catch a game, they do play at the UMass Lowell Homer ice there up in Lowell. And of course, unfortunately, don't play in Boston, but they're there in Lowell, a little bit closer for us in Maine. So that's great. Um, Next game for them is on the 17th against Ottawa, 7 p.m. Tickets are going fast. I guess you can get into the building for around 25 bucks. So a fairly cheap ticket. I'm definitely going to be checking out a game sometime this year. I would highly, highly encourage it. Well, let's move on to the Maine Mariners. We'll spend a little bit of time here. Of course, kind of a mixed weekend, I would say, for them. Had the 3 games. Of course, the last one was Sunday here in Portland, the Teddy Bear Toss game. Of course, losing that one 4-2 to Trois Riviere. Next couple for the boys this weekend on the 13th and 14th up in Adirondack. First meeting against Adirondack since that first round playoff exit. Of course, Adirondack ending the Mariners season. Both of those games starting at 7 o'clock. Current standings for the boys 7-11, 2-0, 16 points, seventh, last place there in the North. But only 5 points out of that fourth place position, which currently is being held by Adirondack. Top performers for the team Evan Veerling with 17 games played, 4 goals, 15 assists for 19 points. So good on him, over a point per game. Jimmy Lambert, 13 games played, 6 goals, 10 assists for 16 points. And Brooklyn Kalmakoff, 14 games played, 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. So let's dive in and take a look at the games from the weekend. Of course, they had 2 in Worcester starting Friday night. They do lose this one in overtime, 2-1. Tough, tough game. Shots on goal, Worcester 31, Maine 26. That was 9-12. Maine Worcester there for shots in the first period. Maine with 8 and 7 there in the third. Apologize, and then 2 in overtime. Worcester 12, 6, and 11, and the 2 shots in overtime for 26-31 there for Worcester. Power play, 0 for 2 for Maine, 0 for 2 for Worcester. So not a whole lot going on there. Some good kills. Fairly competitive game. Scoring there for Maine, their 1 goal. Christian Sarlo with his third of the season, assisted by Veerling and Lambert. And Brad Arvanitis, poor guy, cannot get any luck. Played a good game, 29 saves on 31 shots. Still no wins for RV. It's just ridiculous that this guy can't get a win. Well, I think one of his better performances of the season. They do get a point out of the game, being an overtime loss, so at least you get something out of that one. Saturday night, of course, this was the makeup game from prior. I think it was back in early November where Worcester had some arena issues. A little bit different result for Maine, winning this game 4-3. Shots on goal, Maine with 36, Worcester with 27, Maine with 15 in the first, 13 in the second, and 8 in the third. Worcester with 9, 8, and 10 respectively. Specialty teams again, both teams 0 for 3. So 5 penalties for each through the 2 games, and no power plays for anybody. Scoring here for the Mariners, Peterson, assisted by Bean and Hudson there in that first period. Then Bean with his 2nd goal of the season, assisted by Lambert and Veerling. Go down there to the second period. Jimmy Lambert with goal number 5 for him, assisted by Veerling and Berger. Phillip with his first goal in the second period, assisted by Hudson. Worcester does battle back. They get a couple goals there in the third period, but Maine's able to sneak it out. Ryan Bishel with the win, 24 saves on 27 shots for him. So 3 out of a possible 4 points there against Worcester. You're feeling pretty good. Coming home, first game at home in a little while against Trois Rivières, and fortunately not the result we wanted. 4-2 loss to the Lions. Maine did outshoot the Lions 30-27. The Lions had 8 shots in the first, 12 in the second, and 7 in the third. Maine 11, 10, and 9 for 30. Specialty teams not quite as solid here for Maine. Did take 5 penalties after only taking 5 all weekend. They take 5 in this game, give up 2 power play goals, and Maine 0 for 4 on their power play opportunities. The one big highlight I would say is, of course, that first goal for Maine when all the teddy bears get tossed off, and it's Carter Johnson with his first goal of the season. So happy to see him get his first goal and have it be that teddy bear toss game, assisted by Kalmakov and Mazakot on that one there. And then you have to go to the second period where Jimmy Lambert does score his sixth goal of the year, assisted by Vierling and Berger, making that 4-2. Arvanitis in goal again for this one, 23 saves on 27 shots, and yes, again, still winless. So that's what we have for those 3 games. Yeah, kind of a mixed bag, right? I mean, you get 3 points out of out of the weekend, out of a possible 6. But is it enough? Coach Wallin was on the Big Jab, a Mannix and Mannix show on Monday afternoon, and I'm just gonna kind of spout off some of the things that I took away from his time there on the radio. First thing he said is we're not in a good spot. Kind of referencing how okay, get kind of a split weekend, and that's okay if you're up in the standings or you're fairly healthy, but they're not in that kind of spot where they can just take these splits on the weekend. They need to start winning weekends. That's exactly what Coach was talking about. And then he did reference specialty teams and how it will kill you. And that's exactly what happened there on that Sunday game where you can't get one in, you give up 2 on the other side. That's just really, really tough. He did mention, however, he did feel like some steps were taken in the right direction, which is some of how the team had played and certainly there in Worcester getting some decent results. In terms of the power play, his comments where we have very good players who don't want to attack the net right now. And I tell you, that is frustrating. He goes on to say we're not in an attack mindset. And I think we all see it on the ice. You can see it on the ice. Nobody really wants to really attack the net and start putting shots on net. But he's also right, and I've been saying it all season. I feel like they do have some really good offensive players, but somebody's going to take charge and get after it. He does reference that, without Millman, without Bavaro here anymore, of course, both up in Providence, it does hurt you a little bit, in that quarterbacking role there on the blue line for your power play. He also mentions, though, that he feels like Berger and Willits are doing a fine job, but clearly you're missing Millman and Bavaro there. So thought those were some interesting comments just about where the team's at and, again, where the special teams are, where it's been pretty frustrating there on that power play. So kind of nice to see coach kind of calling it like it is a little bit. I think he's in the right space there in terms of what he's talking about. And then some interesting comments about, and this is more from his kind of GM perspective because he is the GM of the team, about the mix of players in the room. One of the boys asked about that, like, is it time to make some changes in the room? And I was a little surprised, but Wallace, yeah, yeah, guys should be fearful. They should be a little worried right now. Like we just can't continue to have this Groundhog Day mentality that he referenced a couple times. And according to what he said, talk to the team leaders that there's going to be changes. There's going to be moves made. Nothing as of yet, so it's going to be really interesting to see what sort of moves are made, what sort of trades are made, what sort of players are picked up in free agency. But I was a little bit surprised. I don't want to see anybody lose their job, of course, but yeah, I think we could all agree. Anybody who's watching this team that changes have to be made. They just have to be made. One thing that he said looking at the weekend coming up against Adirondack is he does hope to see that attack mindset and that puck hunting going into these games. You have to. Adirondack probably not playing up to their kind of level or where they thought they would be either. And of course, they're sitting about 5 points ahead of you. So this is a great opportunity to go up there and start catching some ground a little bit on these guys. And it was referenced that this was a team that took you out last year. It's the team that ended your season, and I think for those players, and coach references as well, for those players that were here, they remember that. And, so expect I would think you should expect a couple of real feisty games up there in Adirondack, We'll see how that goes. For Adirondack, right now they are 10-8-0-1, 21 points, fourth in the North Division. Some names to be watching out for here. Top performers for them: Kevin O'Neill, 19 games, 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 points. Ryan Smith, 18 games for him, 6-6-12. And Alex Young, 18 games, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. So be watching for those boys. And yeah, should be a fun couple of games. We have a lot of Adirondack coming up on the schedule. We got these two here. Actually, the next home game will be Adirondack on the 28th. And then I'm just kind of looking up here at the schedule. And we've got them a lot late. Yeah, there's a stretch in March, and then a stretch there in April. So we got plenty of Adirondack coming up, but it would be great to see us get 4 points out of this one and just start building, get some momentum. Let's get some momentum. So we'll see what happens there. Any Mariners fans out there listening, any thoughts or comments, please leave those down below. Really curious to hear what you guys are feeling and seeing out there. Of course, it has not been the season we have wanted, but still just 20 games in. Is there still time for them to turn the tide a little bit? I had referenced it in the last video that they are kind of running out of time. Um, and again, it's not that there's not time left, but kind of like Coach said, they can't continue to split weekends. So you got to go up to Adirondack, get 4 points, and get after it. Well, we're gonna move right along here. I don't really want to talk about the Boston Bruins tonight. Just after last night, 8-1 drubbing against the Winnipeg Jets. Just gross. It was just a gross game. I think I shut it off at 6-1. I was like, I've had enough. I checked it later. It's like, oh, 8-1. Great. We gave up two more just because, six wasn't enough. We had to let a couple more out there. You know, old habits coming back to play perhaps a little bit. I mean, Swayman didn't look great, but that defense in front of him was just god awful. Seemed like the team was more worried about fighting than playing the games, than playing correctly. The fight that Frederick had was a little bit gross against a younger player that really isn't a fighter, and that's why you saw the Zadorov fight with their captain, to kinda answer for that. Just not the way you play, and, we were praising Frederick so much after the last game, getting 2 goals, and 30 seconds into the game, he takes a penalty. You kill it off, but it just kinda set the tone for the night, and then he takes that stupid 5-minute, fighting major, fighting a player that really had no business trying to fight. So just not the way you want to start this tough 5-game road trip. And yeah, let's hope for better. We need better. I said it in my last video. Yeah, 4-game winning streak, great. I still need to see more. And I said that a couple days ago, and I'll stand by that. That I'm not ready just to say, oh, this team is all fine and dandy. Like, there's some significant problems with this team right now. Um, Team defense and depth scoring. It's getting a little bit better, but that was after a kind of a lighter time of your schedule. Now you've got this tough road trip. How does this go? How does this go? We will see. I'm not going to break it all down here, guys, but if you do want to hear more about that game, go check out the Morning Brew podcast with Billy Jaffe and Andrew Raycroft. They don't need my plug here. They're popular enough as they are, but they're absolutely fantastic and absolutely my hockey therapy. So go check them out. Next game for the boys Thursday night up in the Seattle, 10 p.m. puck drop. So you might want to get a little catnap in tomorrow, grab an extra cup of coffee to get up for that one. And listen, Bruins fans, yes, we know, right? It's got to get better. It's been tough. We know this, but let's just take a moment and be thankful that we're not Ranger fans, that we're not Predator fans right now. You want to talk about kind of a bleep show. Uh, Rangers right now, they 2-8 over their past 10. They're in fifth place in the division. They're behind Philadelphia right now. I mean, I had the Rangers winning the whole division and going far in the playoffs, but man, they are an absolute just mess right now. And it just doesn't make any sense why they are. And then, of course, you have Nashville, which we've talked about Nashville already here recently, winning free agency. They won July, but they are currently 32nd in the league with 20 points. Just ouch. absolute ouch job there for the Preds. A little bit of retirement news. Defenseman Kevin Shattenkirk did announce his retirement this week. 14 seasons played for him, 952 career games plus 91 playoff games. His totals on his career: 103 goals, 381 assists, 484 points. So, of course, played for the Bruins last season, was not re signed, and didn't really seem to garner a whole lot of interest from the league this year. I thought he played fairly well for the team last year. I thought, especially on the power play, he was a good quarterback out there. Just, not the physical player that some of the other guys are, but I thought he was kind of a steady Eddie out there for the most part. And um, so, good on him. This is just a quote, his quote from the AP. I can proudly say that I've accomplished most of my career goals. I scored big goals, including a Stanley Cup final overtime goal, played in the All-Star games, represented my country in the Olympics, and won a Stanley Cup. What makes me even prouder when I reflect back on my career are the countless friendships that I've made along the way. Thank you to all my teammates. It was an honor to play with all of you. So, well done, Kevin Shattenkirk. Enjoy retirement and enjoy that next phase of your life. Still a young man, of course. So that's what we have for tonight. Kind of a shorter one. Hope everybody has a great evening out there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I do appreciate it. And if you do like what you're hearing, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Absolutely helps the channel out. And until next time, be kind, show love, and God bless.